What is up, studs, and welcome to Ask MNR, episode 380, the series where I answer your questions. So if you have a question or topic for next week's episode, leave it down in the comments section below. And for clicking on this video, you're going to find out how to get the UCS Death Star for $500 this Black Friday, because this episode is sponsored by Whatnot. So more on them and how that's going to happen later in this video. We're also going to discuss the canceled 2020 Bad Batch shuttle, how to become a LEGO VIP point millionaire, the reason LEGO Space died, and much more. If you guys enjoyed the series, make sure you smack the like button, and let's get to our first question from Minecraft, who says, Ask MNR, is this the first year that did not have an R2-D2 fig since 1999? So if you don't know, LEGO Star Wars has had an R2-D2 minifig come out in a new set every year since its inception in 1999, hasn't skipped a year, I believe. This year was the first year. No, it wasn't. It came out in the UCS Death Star. There was no R2-D2 in there, so they dodged the bullet. At first, when I read your comment, I was like, oh, shoot, maybe he's right. And then I thought about the Death Star, and I'm like, yeah, it's in the Death Star. So R2-D2 still came out in a set this year, even if it was late in the year, even if it was the most expensive set of the year, he still was released in another new set for 2025. I think and expect that trend to continue in perpetuity. I think LEGO Star Wars would have to really try to not include an R2-D2 somewhere. He's just in so much media for Star Wars, and he makes so much sense for so many sets so often that it's not like they have to go out of their way to try to throw him in somewhere. So I think we'll see that trend continuing. John says, what do you think about the potential misinformation regarding the UCS Mando fig being rumored for the $10 speeder bike but not showing up? Do you think that it potentially lowers the credibility of leakers such as Get Cooped and others in the community? Really throwing Get Cooped under the bus here. Not quite. I don't think that's how that would work. If the rumor was that he'd be in the $10 speeder bike and he's not, then the rumor just isn't true. So for those that haven't been following every single rumor, the original leak was that the UCS Mando figure that is currently exclusive to the $600 Razor Crest would make its way into the $10 speeder bike set that's coming out in January of 2026. And then we had our first picture leak, and it did look like that. It was the UCS Mando fig from the $600 Razor Crest and the speeder bike set. Now we've had a second picture leak, which is the box art of the set, and the UCS Mando fig is no longer there. It's been replaced with the far more common Beskar Mandalorian. Now the very first picture on the white background was clearly a preliminary picture subject to change. The box art picture could be the final version of the set that does include Mando and his Beskar armor, but it also could be another preliminary picture that is subject to change, and we could see yet another change up for the final version of the set. So to your comment about it ruining the credibility of some leakers, I completely disagree, because you can see, literally because the pictures leaked, that the leaks come from a real place. These are real rumors based in reality. Like, it's not like they made it up or something. That's how rumors work. They come from places like that where pictures leak, and a lot of times you won't end up seeing those pictures, but that's where it comes from. Is somebody somewhere saw something like that, they talk about it, makes its way through the web, and then eventually out to you. And then 6 months later, the final set comes out and it's different than what it originally was rumored or leaked to be, but you can at least see in this case why it was originally rumored to be that Mando in the UCS Razor Crest in this $10 speeder bike set. Now, like I said, the box art could also be preliminary. I'm more inclined to believe it's a final version of the set than the picture on the white background. But the only other piece of information on this one out there to maybe fill in our final clue to figure out which figure we're getting is the actual leak description, which may have been translated from another language, but the part that matters says that it recreates exciting scenes on Tatooine from season 1 of Star Wars The Mandalorian, which doesn't really give us anything, because season 1 of The Mandalorian has both the original armor set and the Beskar armor set. I didn't go back to watch all the scenes to figure out whether or not he rides the speeder bike on his original armor, but I certainly on Google can find plenty of pictures of him riding it in the Beskar armor set, and especially alongside Cobb Vanth, which is the other set that's going to accompany this one, which leads me to believe that it probably will end up being the Beskar armor in the set, and frankly, it would be the more accurate thing, so I think it would be the right thing for them to do, but I would also understand why they would do it in the inaccurate way just to get that figure in a different set, because they've done the Beskar Mando armor so much. But that being said, I think the recent box leak kind of lends credibility towards it being the Beskar figure in the final version of the set. We'll know within a couple weeks here, I think, maybe a little bit less. But yeah, I don't think it damages any credibility of any leaker out there, and unfortunately for people that wanted the more expensive fig in a cheaper set, might not end up being that way. Next from Jack, who says, when do you think LEGO will next change the border art for Star Wars? I know they have different colors for different movies and shows, but I miss when it changed every year, as it made sets feel more individual to certain time periods. And I definitely agree with you on the back end there. It definitely, it gives LEGO Star Wars that feeling that it used to have, and that might be happening again here. We had the recent leak of the box arts for 2026 sets, and some of the set box arts are just like they were before, but some of the sets box arts are specifically for the Mandalorian movie, or the Mandalorian as a whole. I'm specifically talking about the Mando speeder set, the Cobb Vanth speeder set, and the Baby Yoda Grogu 4+ set, all of those have very different box arts than we've had for the last 4 years. They've got Mando and Grogu on the top right, and they've got a metallic blue color that's somewhat similar to the 25th anniversary sets, which is, I think, the only downside of it is that they kind of went, I think, a little too matchy-matchy with that. Again, these could be preliminary versions of the boxes, but they don't say preliminary, so I would kind of assume they're final. But it very well could indicate a sort of soft return to that style for LEGO Star Wars. Now, unfortunately, maybe for what you're looking for, it's not going to be everything. Sets like the Mandalore Battle Pack and the Shock Trooper mech will have the kind of standard style LEGO Star Wars box art where it's just got the strip to denote the era that it's from and nothing more kind of special going on to this specific era, right? So you're not going to have Mandalorian box art on Clone Wars sets, which is maybe in the past what we would have had. You had just whatever the box art was, didn't matter if it was Episode 1 themed, it would have Darth Maul on there and you would have an Old Republic set, or it would have Captain Rex on there and you'd have the Millennium Falcon, and it didn't matter. But it seems like it still matters now. They are still keeping it segmented based on the theme. I do wish that they just changed all of them though to be maybe that same color where it's got the metallic blue overall theme and then you just have the character on the top right that kind of denotes the era or the movie or media that it's from. They had a really good thing going and now they're going to segment it even further, which is, I think, going to be bad. But I guess rationalizing it from their end, they want the Mandalorian sets to stand out on the shelf, so giving them the metallic shiny blue color and not having them match anything else maybe makes a lot of sense for LEGO based on their strategy for getting like parents and customers to like see what sets are from the movie or from that universe, maybe more specifically, because at least the first ones here will be from the TV show. So it will be interesting to see how things continue on, but the boxes are changing again starting in 2026, or at least some of them are. Evan says, wouldn't surprise me if the price of BrickHeadz slightly increased if Funko Pops go out of business. That would be LEGO's chance, and Funko Pops have been inflation proof to this point. I think they started back in 2017 at $9.99, and it is still $10 a piece, you know, whether you're buying 1 or buying 5 in a pack. LEGO has been very steady with that price, and I think I've maybe talked about this before, but the reason that I think that is because these originally released as sets that were also available in Target and Walmart, and so LEGO would have been selling it to Target and Walmart for, let's say, $6, $7. And that means LEGO's cost on the product has to be like $3, but since they became LEGO store exclusives in recent years, they no longer sell them at Walmart and Target because they frankly were not successful. They were on clearance all the time. That's why they don't still sell them in stores like that. But LEGO cut the middleman out, and that gave them a lot more margin on the BrickHeadz, and I think that's the real reason they have stayed at $10 the whole time. If they were still middleman, those prices would have definitely gone up by now, but I think LEGO has eaten some of that cost because they have an exorbitant margin on those compared to a lot of other products that also are being sold in other stores. The BrickHeadz just aren't. So I'm sure they'll take that opportunity at some point here, though. Tempest wants to know if LEGO is skipping 2026 for Star Wars BrickHeadz because they haven't heard any rumors yet, and that's because it's still probably just too early. They wouldn't be releasing until May, at least if they follow the recent trend of releasing a big like movie pack or show pack in May, and I think we can assume it will probably be the Mandalorian based if they are smart whatsoever. Like, it would just make the most sense. But yeah, I think it's just a little too early to hear any rumors on that. The only thing that would worry me a little bit is the fact that they've had their Revenge of the Sith BrickHeadz for 20% off for like a month at this point. And I don't know, it's just weird for them to keep a product on sale for a month and it either not sell out or them not take it off sale. So that tells me that that particular BrickHeadz probably just isn't selling super well for them and they want to move some more products because they don't do that often with Lego.com items. You know, usually they're full price. Obviously Black Friday and all that's coming up and there'll be a lot of great sales. But yeah, speaking of great sales, this video is sponsored by Whatnot. Man, I'm great at these transitions. Whatnot is the best live shopping app where you can buy and sell just about anything, and this Black Friday is going to be insane, as there will be a flash sale every minute of the day, all day on the app. I will be 8 of those minutes. I am but a flash in the pan. We're going to make those 8 minutes special though, because we're going to flash sale some incredible LEGO Star Wars items for half price. My stream is going to start at 10 a.m. Eastern. This is on Friday, November 28th, Black Friday. And of course, we're going to auction tons of LEGO Star Wars minifigs. I've got tons of brand new LEGO Star Wars sealed sets coming in for this auction, including a Cloud City. But as it pertains to the flash sales, they'll happen at specific times throughout the day, and it's going to be first come, first serve. If you can press buy first, you'll get it for the half price. Starting at 12:34 p.m., we'll have have the new character encyclopedia with Palpatine for $11. There's going to be 45 of those available. Then at 1:34 p.m., we're going to have the MandR custom block maul available for half price, just $14, and there'll be 36 of those available. At 3:05 p.m., we'll have the Qui-Gon Jinn foil pack with 84 of them available for $6. That's going to be crazy. Then when 4:05 rolls around, we'll have the $1,000 UCS Death Star for just $500. We'll have 5 of them at that 4:05 time slot. At 5:34, we'll have 36 Santa Bobs available for half price. And then at 6:44, we'll have 200 AAT polybags available for $2.50 each. That's going to be wild. At 8:08, we'll have 15 V19 Torrents. And then at 9:48, we will have 5 more UCS Death Stars for half price. And then the stream will continue on till midnight. We're going to have just insane auctions the whole day. It's going to be maybe my craziest Whatnot stream ever, and that's saying something because I've done a lot of crazy streams. When I didn't even mention, I'm doing at least 100 giveaways, and we're giving away a UCS Death Star at the end of the stream too. How could I forget? That's all the other crazy stuff going on. It just slips your mind that you're giving away UCS Death Star. I don't know how else to say it. If you have not signed up for Whatnot yet, use my link in the description below. You'll get a $15 credit to use on your first purchase. It could be one of the half price items. It could be an item that we're flash sailing on sale anyway. That's not one of the half price items, but it's still a great deal. We're going to have so many sales, so many deals, so many dollar start auctions. You know, you'll have something to use your credit on. And of course, if you're already on there, get on there, bookmark my live stream, and prepare for an amazing Black Friday on Whatnot, because it's going to be the craziest day on Whatnot ever, I think. Chris Nebula says, are you aware that in an interview with LEGO designer Chris Faber, he stated that the reason LEGO stopped doing its own original space themes was because the deal with Lucasfilm for LEGO to make Star Wars sets was that LEGO could not make space sets based outside of our solar system ever again. Essentially meaning LEGO Star Wars has to die for LEGO space to live. And that is not a trade I think anybody would, well, there's some people that would make that trade, but it would really hurt LEGO's pockets to make that trade, and a lot of other people, and my feelings.
But you know what happened? You know what happened when Star Wars came in 97, 8? You know, LEGO had to scrap all their space themes because the deal between Lucas and LEGO was you're not doing any you know, extraterrestrial or space stuff outside the solar system.
So trying my best to remember off the top of my head, this seems like it was correct for a time. In the early 2000s, I believe the only space themes were Life on Mars, that was like a 2002-ish theme, and then you had Mars Mission from 2007, which, by the way, absolutely goated, even though I never really had any of the sets. Always loved those. And then they definitely still did at least a NASA set or two from that time period. I can envision the Saturn V with that blue box art from 2003. Like, I know that exists. So there were still LEGO space sets, but like you said, those are based within our solar system. Same from your question, it's in our solar system, but nothing outside of our solar system, at least during that initial era of LEGO Star Wars, which was, I believe, 1999 to 2007. I think that was the first contract for LEGO Star Wars. Might have been 1999 to 2006, but I think it was through 2007, and then they re-upped the contract for whatever period of time, and then they re-upped it again and again, and currently LEGO Star Wars doesn't end until 2032. But I think it can be reasonably assumed that at some point after that first contract, very likely right after the first contract, LEGO and Lucasfilm changed that deal so that LEGO could make space sets that were outside of the solar system. Because we started seeing that. We saw Alien Conquest in 2009, I think, which to me just shows that right after that first contract ended, that then switched and it allowed them to do something like Aliens Conquest, or Space Police, I think, came out around then. And then there was another one that was space themed, Galactic Conquest, no, Galaxy Squad, that's the theme I'm thinking of. I think that was around 2014. And then of course we've gotten plenty of other LEGO space sets, like the remake of the Galaxy Explorer. We had Benny's Space Squad from the LEGO Movie 2. That was a cool little space set that's definitely not based in this universe, I would say, or maybe it is. Maybe it's got like a moon buggy, I don't know. But I think it's pretty clear that after that first contract, they were able to make space sets again from whatever they wanted, and that's how we saw Alien Conquest and Space Police in the 2009, 2010 era there. So I bet that probably was true from about 1999 to 2007 or 2008, but I certainly don't think it's true to this day, and I don't think LEGO Star Wars has to die for LEGO space to live. We've seen LEGO space sets. I just don't think LEGO wants to make a space theme akin to their classic space theme anymore, because they have Star Wars and it's so popular. And to me, there's just no reason for LEGO to have those things clashing. I also think classic space is classic space for a reason. It's something that I don't think would be popular in today's market, you know, and they have so many other things going on anyway. They just did Star Trek as well, which is further proof that they can do other space-themed sets. So yeah, I definitely believe that it was true at a point, but it certainly cannot be true to this day because we've seen so much evidence to the contrary. Next from Luca, he says, how do you feel about the H28 Bricks Revenge of the Sith custom sets? Personally, I think most of them are literally perfection. If LEGO made these, I'm sure they would sell really well. I really want LEGO to hire a guy like this. He is on an all-time heater of a run. He has been putting out some amazing custom sets all year long, and he's done other custom sets in the past that aren't Revenge of the Sith themed, but like for the Revenge of the Sith anniversary, he's been going hard. You just gotta love the General Grievous and Obi-Wan Kenobi mech set idea. I hate it. I hate the idea of a General Grievous minifigure that's not like the actual cyborg version of General Grievous. It looks horrible, but it's like he has some crazy novel ideas like that really set him apart as a MOC or set designer here. The Kashyyyk and Wookiee Ornithopter set is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, other than the long legs on the Wookiees. Those scare me, not gonna lie. I love the Kashyyyk Super Battle Pack that he came up with. It's got the Swamp Speeder as well as the like actual accurate troop carrier that we see on Kashyyyk. One of the sets that I really think they should make is Yoda's Escape from Kashyyyk here, because you'd get the escape pod and then like a minifig scale ATRT that's going around to hunt and make sure the Wookiees are dead, and so the Wookiees can fight them and then say goodbye to Yoda. So you get Tarful, Chewbacca, Yoda, and the correct ATRT driver in that set. I think that would be incredible. Of course, he redid some classics like the Wookiee Catamaran with a droid gunship, the clone turbo tank. You gotta have a least favorite. I think his clone turbo tank is probably my least favorite. I just don't like the way it looks. I'm sorry, H28, all your other work's great. I just don't design that clone turbo tank if you ever get the job. Then we have the Kashyyyk set, like the play set, the tree set. Oh my God, this thing is ridiculous. This is probably a $500 set. No, maybe not. It's only 2,700 pieces. That's crazy. That's only 2,700 pieces because that looks huge. Probably still a $500 set with LEGO Star Wars these days. But that would obviously be an incredible piece to add to all of your other Kashyyyk ships that he came up with. And I know we've been mostly based on Kashyyyk here. He did so many Kashyyyk sets. He also did a bunch of Utapau sets. The 212th battle pack that comes with that ship, that thing, I didn't even know what that was. So apparently that is on Utapau. You can see it on Utapau. It's also in the background on the Venator in one of the scenes as well. So it's around, and it would be a crazy cool battle pack build, especially if they were going to do another kind of super battle packy 212th battle pack. That's probably the build I would want in there, of course, along with the crab droid that he threw in. The Separatist shuttle with all the cool Separatist leaders in their chairs, like that's an incredible set idea, and it would give us so many characters that we've never had before, and it would be great. Of course, I think I talked about this. Well, actually, you probably haven't seen the video yet. Top 10 remakes. This will be in there. It's the Obi-Wan's Interceptor with hyperdrive ring, and this is another just banger where he was able to include so many cool characters. Like, I really love the way that he gets all the minifigs in there that should be there. He does a great job of picking from these scenes and really filling out the minifig selection. You think if LEGO made some of these sets, they'd be missing about half the figures you see. This guy's not holding anything back. You've got the Utapau chase, which is equally fantastic, and then the accompanying Uncivilized Encounter. What a great name. Wow. The General Grievous Starfighter with the landing platform. He's really ready to be a LEGO Star Wars designer. He removed the waistcape from the 212th Airborne to make it properly accurate to how LEGO Star Wars would have released it for the 20th anniversary. That is so sad to see, but he's ready. And then maybe the weirdest one is the Utapau Skyforce Security, and I don't think he explains it in the post here, but I think there was some reference material as the reason he made it like the magenta purple color for the Magna Guard Starfighter, but any type of set to get Tion Medon in would be fire, and that's a pretty wild one. It would also be like crazy purple. They don't make LEGO Star Wars sets that color very often. So yeah, I mean, clearly some amazing custom sets. I just enjoyed looking at them and talking about them, and hopefully it's stuff that some of y'all haven't seen before because they're really fantastic. And it's some of the stuff that I had hoped to see for the Revenge of the Sith anniversary this year, and I really think LEGO Star Wars dropped the ball. I mean, they usually do drop the ball. They're really good at that with everything. And yeah, man, you look at the stuff that guy was able to create, and it really makes you realize what LEGO Star Wars wasted this year, especially with no movie. There was nothing else that they had to do this year. There was no anniversary going on other than Revenge of the Sith, I think. They just didn't care, which I guess doesn't surprise me. Next from Ty, he says, thoughts on the canceled 2019 Yoda versus Dooku and 2020 Bad Batch shuttle sets that have recently surfaced. So I think we talked about the Yoda Dooku one a while back. The Bad Batch one is a newer thing. And basically what happened, I think, is when LEGO and Bricklink have kind of integrated, LEGO put some of the part lists from, I guess, their system into Bricklink, and that included some canceled LEGO Star Wars sets. So the Yoda Dooku set from 2019, or maybe it was also on LEGO.com, I'm not sure. But there was a Yoda Dooku set that was supposed to come out in 2019. It would have had one of the anniversary figures. My thought is that that's the reason we ended up with one of the anniversary figures in a poly bag, is because there were supposed to be be 6 true 20th anniversary sets, and then we ended up with the 5, and then, you know, the polybag came out just because they had made the figure already, and why not? Pretty crazy that they were ready to make a Yoda Dooku set right then and there, and that's such an obvious $20 lightsaber duel set, and then they didn't, and we still haven't had a Count Dooku here 6 years later, which really it's now been almost 13 years since the last Count Dooku, and people are like, where's Count Dooku? That's where he was. He was supposed to be there, and he's not, just like the Jedi Archives. And then we have the 2020 Bad Batch shuttle. Of course, we ended up getting the Bad Batch shuttle in 2021, but the difference with the Bad Batch shuttle apparently was that it wouldn't have included the speeder bikes, I think, and it also included a Republic version of Crosshair. So this would have just been a Clone Wars version of the Bad Batch shuttle as opposed to a season 1 of the Bad Batch shuttle. So I think it's one of those things where LEGO was ready to make the set, ready to release a set, and then they or Disney or both of them came together and like, hey, you know, the show's coming out next year and it's going to have this and this. It's going to be a little bit different than what you've got. We should probably hold the set for a year, make it a little bit different, and it'll be better. And I think that was the right choice. Of course, they should still make a Republic Crosshair somewhere so you can have your complete character lineup, including the Imperial Crosshair, of course. But yeah, it's kind of weird that there's some things there, especially with these two sets in particular, that they never came back to that they really should have. You know, Count Dooku and a Republic Crosshair both should be figures we've gotten in the last 5 years, and we haven't, and we were that close to it, seemingly. It's just wild how things can pan out that way. Next from Jordan, he says, I want the UCS Death Star, but don't really care for the exclusive figs. Is it worth it to spend the money on an incomplete set on Whatnot, or buy a sealed one and sell the figures? So I am actually going to be auctioning a couple of no figure Death Stars on my Whatnot streams on Black Friday. The ones that I've sold so far have gone for around $400 to $450, versus if you buy it and then sell the figures, I think you could do better. That's assuming you sell all of the figures, I guess. But if you bought it and sold the, I don't know what things you're going for right this second, but Hot Tub Stormtrooper, Grand Moff Tarkin, the Dignitary, that's probably $300 or $400 off the $1,000 just off the rip. Director Krennic and Galen Erso also there. You could probably get another couple $100 out of that. So I think you very quickly get right down to the price that you'd be buying a no figure version of, for having sold like 7 or 8 of the figures out of your box set, like whatever the most expensive figures are. And just like that, you're at like $400 or $500 for the set anyway. So it doesn't take that much work to get a lot of the money back, because otherwise you're paying someone else like myself and whoever I got working for me to do that work for you, where we take the figures, we're going to sell the figures, and then we're going to sell the set. Basically, I think the pricing works out in your favor if you're willing to do the work, and it works out a little bit better in my favor, or whoever you're buying it from's favor, if they're doing the work. So that's basically how it's going to work. It could be a pretty big difference, but I think it really just depends on how many of those figures you're selling. So I don't know if you're talking about selling all figures from the set or just the like 7 most expensive figures, at which point you'd be at about $400 for the Death Star. Andrew says, Ryan, just letting you know, 1 million VIP points are up for grabs, and good luck to the winner. Yeah, so I've been on a journey to try to get to 1 million LEGO VIP points for many years at this point, and I'm getting pretty close because we've had to buy so many sets. Like the 10 Death Stars that I'm selling for half price on Black Friday on Whatnot, I got them from LEGO, so I get those VIP points, and that's helping me stack more VIP points a lot faster. My secret method is just do Whatnot sponsorship things to get VIP points. But yes, you can go on lego.com right now and enter for free. I'm going to double check. I think you can enter once per day. Yes, you can enter once per day. So I just entered again. Go on there, get entered every day, or don't. Help my odds of winning increase. But if you want to become a LEGO VIP millionaire, it's on lego.com from now until December 1st. Also, if you're buying anything on lego.com, use my affiliate link. I'll have it in the description below. If you're not going to use Rakuten and you want to support the channel another way, use my affiliate link. When you buy anything from lego.com during Black Friday or their Cyber Monday sales or whatever, I get a small percentage back. Helps the channel, covers the rent, pays for my editor's salary.
Use the link. I need my salary.
But that's going to be it for this episode of Ask MandR. I hope to see all of you on Black Friday on my Whatnot stream. Again, link in the description below to sign up and get your $15 credit if you're a new user. The flash sales and Black Friday sales are going to be incredible. Also, MandRshop.com Black Friday sales starting on Wednesday, maybe. I hate that we're not doing it on Friday. Maybe I'll change that. But if you have a question for next week's episode, drop in the comments section down below, and I'll see you next week. Peace out.